That fat hippo disgusts me. I'm only interested in her fortune. I froze outside the bedroom door, my hand on the knob. That was my husband, Ethan, the man I thought loved me, talking to his mother. "You should see the way she eats, Mother. It's repulsive." Patricia laughed, sharp and brittle. I'm Savannah, 34, standing in the hallway of the home I bought with my own money, listening to the man I trusted plan how to take half of everything I built. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just went still, already calculating. Because if Ethan thinks he can play me, he hasn't met the real me yet. Have you ever overheard someone you love reveal they were only using you? Tell me in the comments. And if stories about women taking back their power move you, hit like so more people can hear this one. The marble floor felt icy beneath my bare feet as their laughter drifted from upstairs. I stood in the house I paid for, listening to my husband and his mother treat me like a private joke. 3 years of marriage, 3 years of swallowing every insult Patricia threw at me. About my weight, my clothes, even how I breathe after climbing stairs. 3 years of cooking Ethan's favorite meals while he tracked every forkful I took with quiet contempt. I called it compromise. It was self-erasure. I poured a glass of water and watched my reflection tremble in the window. The wedding ring glittered like a cuff. I had built this life, 16-hour days, turning a $50,000 inheritance into a multi-million-dollar real estate company. I married a partner, I thought. I'd actually invited a parasite. He came downstairs smiling. "Hey, sweetheart, dinner out?" "I'm not feeling well," I said. "You and your mom go ahead." Patricia's brittle laugh floated from the foyer. "We won't waste the reservation." Of course she wouldn't. When the garage door closed, the house went silent. I let the truth land. Ethan had been waiting out the prenup like a timer, counting down to my assets. I thought about the $30,000 I'd fronted for his startup, the credit cards he forgot to pay, the vacation I funded for Patricia's birthday while he complained money was tight. Every generous act was another knot in the net around me. Humiliation burned hot, then cooled into something cleaner. Precision. If loyalty meant emptying myself for people who measured my worth in dollars and portions, then loyalty had been the lie. I opened my laptop and pulled our accounts. The numbers steadied me. The deed in my name. The business valuations. The investments I chose. Facts were a rope across a ravine. Hold on, step forward. Ethan wanted me soft and slow. He would get me surgical. I pictured his face upstairs, relaxed and innocent. The practiced smile that had fooled me. Not anymore. I would not plead. I would not announce. I would move. I closed the window blind and whispered to the marble, to myself, "You underestimated me. First and last mistake." The woman he thought I was, hungry for crumbs, grateful for scraps, ended in that kitchen. The woman I am began to plan quietly, thoroughly, without mercy. By morning, the plan would have bones, deadlines, and an exit route map. I woke at 5:30, just like always. Ethan slept beside me, breathing softly, peaceful in the dawn light. For a moment I studied his face, the man who'd whispered promises while plotting his payday. I felt nothing, no grief, no love, just clarity. Downstairs I made coffee and opened my laptop. If Ethan wanted a game, I would play it on my terms. Step 1, information. Step 2, protection. Step 3, execution. I started with our finances. I'd always managed the money. Ethan liked to act incompetent with numbers. Now I saw the manipulation for what it was, a mask. The accounts were all clean, but the clock was ticking. 8 months until the prenup expired, and then everything I owned would be fair game. I listed my assets, my company valued at $8 million, the house worth $2.4, investments totaling another $13 million. That was what my fake marriage had cost. By 9, Ethan stumbled downstairs, yawning. "Morning, babe," he said, kissing the top of my head. "You're up early." "Just catching up on paperwork," I replied without looking at him. He poured coffee, scrolled his phone, and muttered something about golf with his brother. I smiled, because silence was my armor now. At noon, I met Veronica, my longtime business partner, sharp as glass and loyal as steel. Over lunch, I told her everything, the overheard conversation, the prenup trap, the countdown. She didn't gasp or pity me. She went still, calculating. That bastard, she said finally. You need to move fast, protect every cent. I plan to. Then let's do this smart, she said. Quietly, legally, and make sure he walks away with nothing. Her calm steadied me. We spent 2 hours mapping possibilities, trusts, restructuring, asset transfers. Veronica had been through her own war a decade ago. She knew every loophole. By the time we finished, I had the outline of a battle plan disguised as business strategy. That night, I acted normal. I cooked dinner, asked about his golf game, smiled through Patricia's call. He didn't notice a thing. He never did unless it was about money or himself. When he went upstairs, I opened my laptop again. Research tabs filled my screen. Asset Protection Trust, divorce fraud, offshore accounts. I contacted 3 lawyers under pseudonyms describing my hypothetical case. Every message encrypted, every document backed up twice. As the house grew quiet, I realized something. I wasn't afraid anymore. The fear that had ruled me, fear of losing him, fear of being alone, was gone. What replaced it was purpose. I looked around the empty kitchen. The marble, the glass, the soft hum of the refrigerator. All of it had once been proof that I'd made it. Now, it was a reminder that comfort means nothing without control. Ethan thought he was the predator, but I was learning the art of patience, and predators always fall hardest when prey stops running. 3 days later, Bernard called while I was inspecting a property on the West End. "You need to see this," he said. We met at a coffee shop an hour later. He slid a manila folder across the table. Inside were photographs. Ethan with a woman I didn't recognize. Ethan kissing her outside a hotel. Ethan entering an apartment building, hand in hand. The timestamps went back over a year. "Her name's Kelsey," Bernard said, 26, dental receptionist. He's been renting her an apartment under an LLC, all cash. She doesn't know he's married. I stared at the photos until my eyes burned. I should have felt shattered. Instead, I felt confirmed. The story I'd feared was worse than I'd imagined. But at least now it was visible. Truth always has weight. "There's more," Bernard continued. "He's in deep gambling debt. Around 200 grand spread across 3 casinos. He's been paying the minimums with cash from your joint account, the one you let him manage." My pulse steadied. "How much has he taken?" "About 30,000 in the past year. Small withdrawals. Enough to slip past notice." I nodded. "Keep following him. I want everything." Bernard's expression softened. "Savannah, what are you planning?" "Making sure he never underestimates anyone again." That night, Ethan lay asleep beside me, snoring softly, unaware that his carefully timed scheme was collapsing. The irony almost made me smile. He thought I was stupid, that my silence meant weakness. He had no idea he was married to a strategist. Over the next 2 weeks, I moved in precision. I met with lawyers in Chicago, my accountant Walter, and Veronica. Together, we built a fortress. Judith, the lead attorney, explained every clause, every loophole. "If we restructure your company and transfer personal assets into the trust," she said, "it becomes nearly impossible for him to touch them in divorce." "And the house?" "Sell it. Reinvest through the trust before the prenup expires. It's clean, legal, and final." I hesitated only for a moment. Selling meant leaving, but staying meant danger. "Do it," I said. Judith smiled faintly. "You're very calm for someone planning to dismantle her life." "I'm not dismantling it," I said. "I'm protecting it." That week, I met with Vanessa, a real estate agent who specialized in discreet high-end deals. "I need to sell fast," I told her, quietly. She didn't blink. "I'll have 3 cash buyers within 48 hours." She kept her word. The offers came quickly. 2.7 million. Cash. I accepted without hesitation. By the time Ethan suspected something was off, the papers were already signed. The house, our house, was gone, and he didn't even know it. Patricia called that same night, her voice sweet but sharp. "Savannah, dear, we should have a family dinner soon. It's been too long." I smiled into the receiver. "That's a lovely idea." If she wanted a performance, I'd give her one. The final act. That evening, I poured myself a glass of wine and looked around the half-empty house. Every echo of my footsteps was a countdown to freedom. Ethan was about to find out what it feels like to be played by a master. Have you ever reached the moment you stopped being the victim and started taking control? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to like this if you've ever turned pain into power. Thursday morning, 10 a.m. The house was no longer mine. The closing took 45 minutes. Signatures, polite smiles, a wire transfer for $2.7 million, and then it was done. The funds went straight into the trust Judith created. Safe, untouchable. I left the title office calm, almost detached. It was the cleanest break of my life. At noon, I sent Ethan an email. The house has been sold. The new owners take possession tomorrow. You need to be out by 5 p.m. today. Then I attached the photographs Bernard had taken. Ethan and Kelsey outside hotels, gambling tables, and a quiet cafe where he'd promised her a future he couldn't afford. The final attachment contained the fake loan documents he'd forged using my properties as collateral. My last message was the simplest. I know everything. The lies, the affair, the fraud. Every word you said that night, I heard. Every dollar you stole, I've recovered. Every plan you had is over. If you come near me, I'll have you arrested. Don't contact me again. My lawyer will. Then I hit send and blocked his number, Patricia's and Tyler's. The silence that followed felt like oxygen after years underwater. My phone buzzed minutes later, Ethan calling from his brother's number, then Patricia's. I didn't answer. I imagined him pacing the kitchen, reading my emails, realizing too late that his payday had evaporated. By afternoon, Bernard called. He's at the house, he said. The buyers just arrived with their contractor. He's insisting it's a mistake. Police are there now. Good, I said. Let him explain his way out. At that same moment, I met Veronica downtown to finalize the company restructuring. She looked at me over the signed documents. You did it, she said softly. You actually beat him. I smiled, steady and sure. No, I just stopped playing his game. The following days unfolded like clockwork. Ethan's lawyer called Judith, pleading for negotiation. She told them there was nothing to negotiate, no assets left in his reach, no leverage, only a stack of potential felony charges if he pushed. Patricia emailed me next, her fury bleeding through every line. You vindictive woman, how dare you destroy my son's life? I forwarded it to Judith's office and poured myself a glass of wine. No reply necessary. The gossip started spreading in their circles. The golden boy who married rich and lost everything. Kelsey found out, of course. She posted about his lies online, her outrage going viral in local forums. For once, Ethan couldn't talk his way out. The mask was gone. By the end of the week, he'd moved in with Tyler, begging for money. Patricia refused his calls. The family empire of manipulation collapsed under its own weight. I walked through my new downtown apartment that night, city lights painting the river silver. Everything around me, the calm, the control, the safety, was mine again. I had protected what I'd built, and I hadn't needed revenge, just truth, precision, and silence. Have you ever watched karma unfold right in front of you? Tell me how you'd feel in that moment. And if you believe in poetic justice, don't forget to like this story so it reaches someone who needs strength tonight. 6 months later, I sat at a cafe downtown with Veronica, reviewing blueprints for our newest development. My company had grown by 30% since the divorce. The city council called me a pillar of integrity. I'd been invited to speak at a women's business conference, the kind of recognition I used to dream about before I let someone make me smaller. Veronica smiled across the table. Have you heard about Ethan? I nodded. Bankrupt, working at a car dealership, living in a studio apartment on the east side. Do you ever feel bad for him? She asked. I thought about it. The gambling, the lies, the cruel laughter. No, I said. He tried to ruin me. The only difference is I learned faster. After she left, I walked to the river and watched the sunset pour gold across the water. The wind was soft against my face. The same city, but I was different now. Stronger, lighter. I'd stopped shrinking to fit into someone else's comfort zone. I'd started therapy, joined a gym, reconnected with friends. I wasn't chasing love anymore. I was choosing peace. And that's what freedom really is. Not revenge, not proving them wrong, but knowing they can't touch your life anymore. I looked down at my phone, a new email from my accountant. The trust has grown 15% this quarter. I smiled. Everything he'd tried to steal, I'd multiplied. If I could go back to that night, standing in the hallway, hearing those hateful words, I wouldn't stop her from listening. That version of me, the one who stayed silent and steady, saved us both. I raised my coffee cup to the fading light. You lost, Ethan, not because I beat you, but because I found myself. If you've ever rebuilt your life after betrayal, this story is for you. Hit like, share it with someone who needs a reminder. You are not weak for surviving. You're powerful for beginning again.